Hi guys, I want to talk a little bit about smoking cigarettes and quitting smoking cigarettes. Um, Even at different points in my life when I had quit everything else, the one thing I could never give up um, was smoking cigarettes. Matter of fact, it's the one thing I didn't want to give up was my coffee and my cigarettes. Was to me at the time for many years, I felt like the one joy in my life, and and I loved coffee and cigarettes. I loved the combination. It was just um, I didn't realize it at the time, but it was one hell of an addiction. And I never really wanted to quit. I loved everything about it. Holding a cigarette, flicking the ashes, lighting another one up, you name it. And it was part of me. And it had been over 30 years from the day I started. And a neighbor down the street, I seen him using a vape, and we're talking about these neighbors. Excuse me. We're talking a couple packs each per day, heavy, heavy smokers. And I started talking to him a little more and asking him, how in the heck were you all able to do it? So he told me he went and got a vape and so on and so on. It took a minute. You had to get the right strength, the right flavor, and everything like that. And at that point, I just knew, because they were heavier smokers than me, I just knew that I could do it. So the first thing I did at that point is I went and bought my own vape. I started out with a smaller one. A lot of people do. I guess it's everybody's preference. And anyway, I had bought it and I started using it. But I did not quit smoking yet. I learned how to inhale the vape properly without choking. But I was still doing both. I was still smoking cigarettes. This went on for approximately uh, 4 or 5 months, I want to guess. And I just didn't know if I could let go of them all the way. I got down to like 3 cigarettes a day, and I was vaping. Um, but I have lung issues. Um, what's it? CPOD and whatnot. Because I had got sick back in 2007. I had gotten MRSA staph in my lungs. One of my lungs collapsed. My breathing was never the same again. Um, but when I got out, I was in a coma for a month. Life support, you name it. All kinds of wires, hoses, and whatnot. My wife always says it was something like you see on TV. So, even with all that happening to me, it wasn't long at all. I was smoking cigarettes again, on top of my damaged lungs. I didn't want to quit. I knew it wasn't good for it, but I just loved smoking cigarettes. So I did. And it took some years after that until I finally got a grip on things, which I was telling you about. I had met a neighbor 4.5 years ago, about in that area, um, that I seen them vaping with a little vape thing and blowing out the vape, and they weren't smoking cigarettes anymore, and they were friends of ours. So I started asking them questions like, "Wow, how long have you um, been vaping? And was it hard?" And he answered a lot of my questions. Um, and he was like, because I really wanted to quit smoking for my health. Um, I really, really did. Um, Smoking was a true passion of mine, for my nerves, waking up after dinner. I mean, that everybody's watching that understands that feeling, understands how hard it is. So I bought my first vape, and I started out doing that for a while, and I just kind of tapered down um, until I got to a point where I wasn't buying any more cigarettes. And the transition at that point, because it wasn't cold turkey out cigarettes, but I finally stopped all the way. And I've been vaping for 4+ years now, and my breathing is 10 times better. Um, Now my wife, we tried it at both at the same time. You know, I got the blue one, she got the red one, but it didn't take for her at first. She would go to inhale and kept coughing, and she just didn't like it. You know, so she kept smoking cigarettes, and and I kind of kept the idea in her head. You know, I never judge anybody because I've been through it myself. I know how hard it is. So finally, I tried to teach her how to draw on the vape without coughing. You know, without like choking up your lungs and all. It's like, taught her how to do it like that per se. But she was like drawing, like just drawing straight down into her, and you know she was coughing like crazy. And I know you know what I'm talking about. Nonetheless, I told her, you know, the best way to learn is do little teeny bit at a time, just real little bit, and then gradually make them bigger until you understand how to inhale it without choking your guts out. And she finally got it down, you know, and she was in the same place as I was, meaning um, she was getting used to it, liking the vape, picking flavors out, whatnot, but she was still smoking as well. And she tapered off her cigarettes the same way. And the way she quit, the way I recommend anybody to do it is we were on our way home one day, and I'm telling you, for years, cigarettes were like top priority after rent. You know, she would always tell me, you know, I don't care what we run out of, but I want my cigarettes. And I understood that, and I made sure she never ran out. I thought about her before I would think about myself, you know, because personally, if times were that bad, you know, I used to pick butts out of ashtrays and whatnot. I knew which sheets to go to get them out of the ashtray, and I got by smoking that way for quite a while. I did, and nonetheless, um, she didn't like already smoked on cigarettes, and I made sure she always had hers. So long story short, so we get to the part where we're on our way home that day, and she's got 2 cigarettes left. Any other time, not a chance in hell would we go home without picking her cigarettes up. Like I told you, that came before food, you know. Um, and I was like, well, why don't you try to, you know, go home, not buy them. Worst case scenario, I had to come up here later. But then you have to use your vape more to get through the night. See if you can do it. And that cigarette or two that was left in there was the last one that she ever smoked. You know, it's a beautiful thing. Because I definitely never thought that she would ever quit smoking. I was hard enough, but I mean, she voiced it, and she did. And you know, I started worrying about this stuff. I have stepchildren, and I have a 17-year-old daughter. And I lost my mother when had just turned 15 years old, due to cancer. So um, I remember the fear she had, of not only dying, but of leaving young children here. And I didn't want that for my daughter. I wanted to be here for her. I want to see her graduate. Sorry. But, I want to see her graduate. I want to see um, her have kids. I want to walk her down the aisle. I want to be here for all that. And I know for a fact, many years I used to look the other way when people said, smoking can give you cancer, or smoking shortens your life, and blah, blah, blah. And I just kept a thought in my head, like, you know, all of our days are already marked, so it's not going to make a difference. I used to try to justify smoking, that it wasn't going to shorten my life, or it wasn't going to interrupt it in any way. But I got to a point to where I knew it would. See many, many good people die, smokers, whether lung cancer or throat cancer or you name it. Um, and I just thought about her being alone. I thought about the day my mom passed, and her last words that I ever heard, she was telling my grandparents, "Please don't let anything happen to my babies." I was 14 at the time. My sister that was closest to me in age, I think, was 16. And yeah, that is babies to a parent. And I just really thought about that, and it scared me. It scared me for her to have to go on without me or her mother, because we are so close. We're unbelievably close, and it would definitely shatter her life. So that's what gave me the will to want to stop smoking. And I know I do vape still. Um, I look at it as the least of the evils. Let me give you an example. My stepson, he has cystic fibrosis, CF, and so his lungs are compromised. You see, and thank the good Lord, he's 30 years old now, and thus far he's been blessed. We all been blessed to have him here, and he gets out there and works just like any other man, and busts his tail. And at one time, he picked up smoking for a short period of time, and everybody told him, you shouldn't be doing that. Your lungs are compromised, and so on. But we all know that everybody's saying stuff isn't what makes you quit. It's got to come within inside of yourself. You have to make the choice. And one day I seen he was chewing tobacco, and he still got his nicotine, and he felt like it's not good for you, yet it's not compromising his lungs like smoking was. And I thought that was a brilliant idea. If you can't quit, it's just like somebody hooked on pills or heroin, getting on a methadone program. Does that make sense? It's the least of the evils, is like how I like to put it. Um, and but nonetheless, that's how I was able to switch from smoking cigarettes to vaping, and my breathing is 100 times better. Like I was telling you, with his lungs being compromised, that's the same as me. Because when I had MRSA in my lungs, it did some severe damage, and my lungs are compromised as well. And I kept on smoking for another wow, how long? 8 years maybe. You know, almost like I was like missing the gift that God gave me of waking up out of a coma, and then, you know, in a collapsed lung, my lungs were always filled up um, from infection. They had to drain it more than a. I got. My wife said it was a container. It's usually hanging on the hospital wall, and that's what they used when they sucked out like all the mucus and infection out of my lungs. Um, Meanwhile, pumping in antibiotics in me with a garden hose, you know. But nothing was given, nothing was breaking. It took quite a while. She came every day asking, when's he going to wake up? You know, I was in a medical induced coma. She wanted to know, when are you going to take him off that medicine so he can wake up and talk to me? And they told her that you got to understand, he's very sick. He may not come out of this. And she wouldn't hear of it. She came in every day and talked to me. God bless her. And this ain't no bullshit. The times that she came in and talked to me, I had dreams of her talk. But it was in a different setting. We were talking like at a job site one day and somewhere else another day. But nonetheless, I remember crying in my dreams. Um, you know I was so close to death because I was dreaming that I was dying, if that makes sense, you know. And I was dreaming that when I was talking to her, I felt almost like she was telling me she loved me and she was there, but in my dream, she was getting further and further away. Um, and it was so vivid. I never had dreams so vivid and could remember them so well as this one. Or I had multiple dreams over the course of a month and it's like 5 weeks. So, you know, but going through all that and then still smoking, it's just it's almost spitting um, in God's face, you know. It's almost taking that chance that you made it, that you live, and just shitting on it. It really is. And as I got a little older, first of all, I was surprised I made it to this age of 46. But once I did and I was able to look at the full picture, I became so incredibly grateful and blessed that I'm still here. And oh, just what I went through, I tell you. I put myself through a lot of heartache. And it's just nothing short of a miracle for me being here. And and I feel like, you know, I have this gift inside of me. It's like I'm not a great speaker, but I love sharing with people things that may help them, because that's what makes me feel good today, to help another. Um, there's no kind of anything that I can put in my body to make me feel good. You know, I have depression as it is, so but trying to be the best person I can be, and positive, and love and help other people makes me feel better than any medication I've ever tried. You know, so good luck if you want to try quitting smoking. Um, Whether you do it without vaping, I found it easier to quit with the vape. So, but if you like this video, please subscribe. I could use a few subscribers and some likes. Thank you so much.